Welcome to World Alert Updates. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. The world was stunned China to build Nicaragua Canal. Headlines blazed across global markets, igniting disbelief and awe. A $50 billion project, 3 times longer and far larger than the Panama Canal, promised to reshape global shipping. At the center, HKND Group, led by the enigmatic Wang Jing, rumored to have deep ties to Beijing. For Nicaragua, it was sold as a miracle: jobs, modern infrastructure, and a leap into prosperity. President Ortega painted a future of gleaming ports and opportunity, but the canal's route would cut through the heart of the country, displacing tens of thousands, farmers, indigenous communities, families rooted for generations. Lake Nicaragua, the region's vital freshwater source, was at risk. Environmentalists warned of irreversible disaster: poisoned water, destroyed ecosystems. The promise of progress was shadowed by fear and loss. Was this a ticket to the future, or a nightmare in the making? The world watched, breath held, as Nicaragua stood on the edge of transformation. The project was more than infrastructure, it was a declaration of a new era. But beneath the surface, anxiety grew. The dream of prosperity was haunted by the specter of displacement and environmental ruin. The stakes could not have been higher. The Nicaragua Canal was more than a waterway. It was a vision to create a new global trade corridor. The plan included 2 deep-water ports, an airport, new roads, and sprawling free trade zones. Engineering challenges were immense: 5 billion cubic meters of earth to move, a massive artificial lake, and giant locks for supertankers. The $50 billion price tag dwarfed Nicaragua's economy. At the center, Wang Jing, a telecom billionaire with no construction experience, promised the impossible. Funding sources were murky, fueling speculation that Beijing was the true backer. The project fit China's global ambitions, a new trade route outside US control, echoing the Belt and Road Initiative. It was a bold move to challenge the world order. The canal was about more than ships, it was about power. China was making its play on the world stage. The world wondered, was this a commercial venture, or a geopolitical gambit? The answers remained elusive. The stakes: global influence, economic dominance, and the future of Central America. The world's eyes turned to Nicaragua. Along the canal's path, hope and dread collided. Some saw salvation jobs, schools, healthcare, and a way out of poverty. Others saw doom-forced displacement for up to 120,000 people, lost heritage, and broken communities. Indigenous Rama and Creole faced the loss of ancestral lands. Compensation was meager. Uncertainty loomed. Environmental fears ran deep. Lake Nicaragua, the nation's heart, faced contamination and ecological collapse. Scientists warned of toxic sediment and catastrophic oil spills. The canal threatened the very resource that sustained life. The government pressed forward, granting HKND sweeping powers and a century-long concession. Public consultation was minimal. Transparency lacking. Suspicion and anger grew, dividing the nation. Progress and destruction became 2 sides of the same coin. Nicaragua was torn between dazzling promises and terrifying costs. The future hung in the balance. At the heart of the canal saga stood Wang Jing. Once an obscure telecom mogul, he became the face of a $50 billion dream. He claimed funding was secured, but never revealed his backers. HKND, his company, had no track record, raising doubts about its legitimacy. Was Wang a visionary or a front for Chinese state interests? As his fortune dwindled after China's 2015 stock crash, skepticism deepened. The project's finances were opaque, the money never materialized. The concession gave HKND near sovereign control over Nicaraguan land for a century. Critics called it modern colonialism, Nicaragua's sovereignty for sale. The canal's foundation looked increasingly shaky. The mystery of Wang Jing and the missing billions cast a long shadow. Was this a genuine investment or a geopolitical mirage? The world watched as the project teetered on the edge of credibility. The dream began to unravel. For a century, the Panama Canal ruled global shipping, but new megaships outgrew its locks. Even after a costly expansion, the Nicaragua Canal promised to handle the world's largest vessels, supertankers, and colossal container ships. It could have redrawn trade routes, slashed shipping costs, and challenged Panama's monopoly. The shipping industry buzzed with anticipation and anxiety. A second canal meant competition, lower fees, and a vital backup if Panama faltered. But critics doubted the need. Was there enough demand for two giant canals? The economics were uncertain, the risks enormous. Panama watched warily, fearing lost revenue but aware of the hurdles facing its rival. The tale became one of old power versus new ambition. Was the Nicaragua Canal a necessity or a geopolitical chess move? The answer would shape the future of global trade. The world's shipping lanes stood at a crossroads. The stakes, efficiency, resilience, and control. The rivalry was on. The canal was never just about commerce, it was a geopolitical earthquake. A Chinese-backed canal in America's backyard challenged a century of U.S. dominance. Washington watched with alarm. A strategic waterway, just miles from U.S. shores, under Beijing's influence. In conflict, it could restrict U.S. naval movement and shift global leverage. China's string-of-pearls strategy, ports and infrastructure worldwide, now included Central America's boldest prize. For Nicaragua, China offered investment with fewer strings than the West. For Ortega, it was a way to counter U.S. pressure. The canal became a pawn in a global contest of influence and ideology. Latin America's loyalties shifted as China's reach grew. The U.S. faced a new challenge in its own hemisphere. The project exposed the region's changing dynamics. The world's two superpowers vied for control on Nicaraguan soil. The future of the 21st century was being written in Central America. The stakes were nothing less than global power. In 2014, a grand groundbreaking ceremony launched the canal, or so it seemed. Cameras rolled, leaders smiled, but real construction never began. The promised jobs and prosperity failed to materialize. Disillusionment set in as the project stalled. Grassroots protests erupted, led by farmers and indigenous groups defending their land. The government cracked down, branding protesters as enemies of progress. Police blocked marches, leaders faced harassment. The canal exposed deep national divisions, unity shattered by suspicion and anger. Years passed, excitement faded into cynicism. Wang Jing's financial troubles surfaced, HKND quietly retreated. By 2018, the canal was a ghost. No ships, no jobs, just broken promises. Yet the legal concession remained, a dormant threat to landowners. The dream had become a lingering nightmare. Nicaragua was left with scars, political, social, and legal. The grand vision had evaporated. Imagine if the canal had been built. Global shipping would have been transformed. Faster routes, lower costs, new supply chains. China's influence in the Western Hemisphere would have soared. The U.S. would face a permanent strategic rival in its backyard. Central America could have become a logistics powerhouse, attracting investment and jobs. But prosperity would come with dependence on a foreign-controlled project. Environmental damage to Lake Nicaragua could have been irreversible. Social upheaval from mass displacement would leave a bitter legacy. The canal would stand as both a monument to ambition and a warning about the costs of progress. The world would weigh economic gain against environmental and human loss. The map of global trade would be redrawn, but at what price? The dilemma of globalization would be laid bare. Today, the Nicaragua Canal is a ghost, unbuilt, its promise unfulfilled. The $50 billion dream exists only in memories and abandoned plans. It stands as a cautionary tale of ambition colliding with reality. China's global reach met local resistance and financial limits. Nicaragua's people won a temporary reprieve, but the law enabling the canal remains. Political divisions and authoritarianism deepened in the project's wake. The quick path to prosperity vanished, leaving poverty and uncertainty. The canal's shadow lingers over Nicaragua's future. Could the project return? Perhaps, if geopolitics or funding shift. For now, it's a symbol, a future promised but never delivered. History is shaped not just by leaders, but by ordinary people defending their land and way of life. The canal is unbuilt, but its story is complete. It's a tale of power, ambition, resistance, and an unwritten future. The lesson endures. Grand dreams demand a heavy price.